समस्या ये है ना, अरे सामान गा ले यार
खुला बनाना चार हफ्ते में और है तो आउट ऑफ रीच है, बहुत महंगी। मैंने वो प्लॉट एक प्लॉट का निकला जो 20 करोड़ का प्लॉट है।
तो सर प्राइम लोकेशन आपने ले ली?
प्राइम का वो स्टॉक में थी इसी विधि में लास्ट प्लॉट है।
Again, I am welcoming you all for the scientific convention on World Homeopathic Day. Myself Renu, on behalf of CCRH, again wishing a very happy birthday of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. The earlier program you have seen in the yesterday's session. So we are just waiting for a few more industrialists. Within 5 or 10 minutes, we will start this session. Sorry for a delay. In the meantime, sir, I would like to request Dr. DC, chairperson of the session, Dr. SPS Bakshi, please come and join the session. अच्छा ठीक है सर. Okay, then we are waiting for a few 5-4 minutes. Good morning, everyone. Myself Renu, on behalf of CCRH, welcoming all with this refreshing session, which is focused on industries, stakeholder, and all the homeopathic manufacturers. For this session, I would like to invite the chairperson of the session, Drug Development and Regulations, where we are going to discuss future of drug regulations of India. I request the chairperson, Dr. SPS Bakshi, chairman, cum managing director, Baxens Drug and Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Satinder Pal Singh Bakshi. Now I would like to request Dr. SP Singh, Chairman Special Committee for Drug Standardization, CCRH, and former advisor, Homeopathy. Please welcome. The speaker of the sessions for the future of drug regulation in India, Dr. Srinivas Rao Chinta. He will not able to attend the session because of some urgent work. Dr. R.K. Manchanda will join the session. I request Dr. R.K. Manchanda to come up the stage, sir. Dr. D.C. Katoch, advisor Ayurveda in the central government, Ministry of Ayush. He is going to discuss on the application of WHO GMP and Certificate of Pharmaceutical Products provision for Ayush of drugs. The next, our international speaker, Dr. Jack Henricks, Managing Director, Remedy Bank. I'll request Dr. Jack Henricks to come and join us. Dr. GVR Joseph, he will join after a few minutes. So we will start the session with the presentation of Dr. D.C. Katoch.
ऐसा मैं देखता हूँ अपने दिमाग तब तक 5-7 मिनट और इंडस्ट्री के लोग आ जाएंगे तो अब आपका शुरू करते हैं। ठीक, शुरू करें सर। Friends, Dr. Chinta has not been able to join. but I thought let me just give you the future of what we are looking as regards the regulations are concerned. My friend Dr. Katoch is going to discuss with you about the requirement of WHO GMP, and you are all aware of that. We are already focusing on at least Indian GMP, and I'm happy that most of our industries are following that GMP, though I'm not a regulator. And now, what can be future regulations? So one of the things that we are thinking that there is always a regulator's dilemma, that what to regulate in a homeopathic medicine. Should we regulate only raw material? Should we regulate finished product? If we have to regulate finished product, should we need to, what type of finished product we can regulate and they can be regulated? And for that, we need to have standardized information of raw material, standardized information of finished product, both in terms of potencies as well as in terms of mother tincture. Yesterday we discussed, it's just a hypothesis based on the developments in science during the last 1 decade about homeopathic dilution. That can be one scenario. But I still feel that can be a scenario after still many years, and I don't know how much industry is interested and how much industry can really come up to that level. At least the present homeopathic industry, I have all my doubts about it, but there is a potential. But if we are able to regulate only the raw material as well as finished product from where the potentization starts, I think that itself is a very, very important area. As regards we are concerned, in our drug standardization lab, we are trying to continuously strengthen HPL as well as our drug standardization lab. Our drug standardization labs are needed to actually define the criteria of implementable criteria of finished drug products and HPL to regulate that. This is how we need to strengthen these labs, and more so for homeopathy, because homeopathy is little far beyond our herbal medicine, far beyond standard allopathic medicine. Here I often see that our industry should come forward and help us in developing standards of not only of raw material but of finished product, at least from where the potentization starts. And let us as an industry also take a call that all those products where we do not have high quality raw material and it is not possible to prepare standards of finished products, at least from the start of potentization, eventually we should say goodbye to those products in times to come. So I would just like, when we will be having open session, I think this can be one of the discussion point, that how much our industry is prepared to do that. This is one aspect I was just thinking about industry. Another very important issue is, yesterday you must have seen that we released certain jingles out of CCRH fund we prepared just to popularize homeopathy. Our industry is very well aware of that there are attempts at global level mainly, and to very, very small attempts within India to sabotage the popularities of homeopathy. But at the same time, we have also responsibility to ensure that we have not to create a hype which is not exist, which we cannot prove. But there are certain areas which we can certainly help, and we are helping for years to come, and everybody is having some belief in certain areas of. So those are the areas that needs to be strengthened regularly with regular newspaper, print media, electronic media, advertisement, just social, and that also needs a lot of investment. Sometimes we can prepare material, but we don't have money to regularly release in media because We released just one jingle before this conference just for trying, and many of my colleagues, those who are on the DAS and on the DAS, those who are regularly advertising their products, they know the cost of all these things. I think somewhere we should formulate a strategy with CCRS that how industry can contribute in popularizing this. We can prepare the material, but let it be released in media with the money of the industry. I have requested Government of India to give me few lakh rupees so that I can give to Doordarshan, I can give to this.
Crores, not lakhs.
So what?
That's okay.
Actually, so now one industry is already ready to pay crores, so I'm happy. He has already. So he has committed, you know. What a great opening of the session.
One dinner in one registration costs you 8 lakh rupees a month.
Really, sir, he's giving that unit cost.
I'm just giving unit cost. Actually, I have asked him crores, but I have just told lakhs. But I'm happy that at least one is ready and another is smiling. I think he's also ready. So we have to.
It was something,
Huh? Yeah. So I think that kind of mechanism also we need to develop, how we can involve industries into this process of popularizing homeopathy through official media. Like if you popularize your one product in newspaper, that can be objectionable later or sooner. This much I am telling you, because the type of regulation which are going to come through our Magic Remedy Act is that all those products per se are going to be in trouble in times to come. So we have to be very careful that we have to focus in popularizing homeopathy, not individual product of the industry. And for that, we need to have a organization that is secular in nature. And for that, CCRH can come, HPL can come, Government of India can come, or we can formulate another such body for the popularization of homeopathy, and that standardized material which gives the accurate perception of homeopathy. Because sometimes what happens, we give inaccurate perception of homeopathy even through ad. We are thinking we have prepared a great ad, but somewhere that ad is not conveying what we wanted to convey. So this itself is a quite researchable subject, and what I feel that let our team with the industry, team of researcher, team of social media and our media group sit with industry and formalize advertisement, fine-tune those advertisements, and let us plan that this we need to release in next 3 months, at least April, May, June, or maybe we can start first month. Already government and state governments are investing a lot of things. So thereafter, from May onward, June onward, this type of campaigns through this, at least that will ensure the current popularity of homeopathy will not go further down and will further increase. So this was another thought. It is not possible. Some industrialist advised me that, sir, put all this money which we can give to CCRH or to all this for these types of work under our CSR activities. If you do it, we'll be very happy. We have to spend. Otherwise, we are running charitable school, we are running charitable dispensaries, we are running this, we are running that. Instead of that, we'll give money to that, and you do whatever you want to do. I don't know how much they are running, how much they are not.
You put it under CSR, it
So-
should surely help.
So, but then I had a discussion with my finance ministry colleagues. So they said you cannot put it like that. So I think somewhere industry has to think, and we have to think together rather what we can do. So this was another concern which I think we will take up during, and the third concern which my friend Dr. Katoch is going to talk about is WHO GMP. Many of our industries colleagues, those who are here also, are facing some problem in exporting medicine. It's not a problem of importers, it's a problem of exporters. That their industry needs to have different kinds of certifications so that they can regularly export. So for that, WHO GMP is required, and let us see, he will be able to enlighten us on this, how best we can work together to ensure that our industry, those who are capable of improving the standards or are already having that kind of standards, can give that kind of certificate. Dr. Katoch.
This is going to work directly. कैसे काम करेगा?
लगाओ पीपीटी लगाओ.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to this session on second day of the World Homeopathy Convention. First of all, I would like to wish you all a very, very happy returns of the day, Hangman's Day. Right? And I'm really privileged that in this session I have two stalwarts, double SPS, Dr. SPS Bakshi and Dr. SP Singh. I know them very well and they are my good friends. And but I think since I think I am an odd man out, I am an Ayurveda person. But for the last 4 or 5 years, I have been working for the drugs quality control of all medicines, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and homeopathy. And we have covered a distance. And you will be happy to know that recently, the Drug Technical Advisory Board, we have taken a decision that now there are two different ministries, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Ayush. And the homeopathy, the mandate for homeopathy that comes under the purview of the Ministry of Ayush. So now this, the technical advisory committee of homeopathy for regulations purpose, I think that will work under Ministry of Ayush and that will be joined with the Drug Technical Advisory Board for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. I think that will facilitate the things in a big way. So this will help in facilitating the things in a big way. So I am going to speak on WHO GMP provisions, which are being made applicable to Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, and we are also thinking that how these can be made applicable to homeopathy drugs. Because somehow homeopathy drugs, these are also herbal drugs. But these need to be brought within the ambit of WHO GMP guidelines for herbal drugs. Presently, it is not there. We took up the matter with the Drug Controller General, and just to clarify this, but so far, this WHO GMP provisions, these are not applicable. They have said herbal drugs, but in the category of herbal drugs, if you see the document 937 of 2006, published by WHO Technical Series report, in that the homeopathy drug, it does not figure out. So, but if you see our Act, Drugs and Cosmetic Act and rules, there are 4 distinct categories of drugs. One, the chemical drugs, the pharmaceuticals. Second is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs. This is second category. Third is homeopathic drugs. And the fourth is phytopharmaceutical. It is a new category of drugs. Means the plant product, the pharmaceutical product derived from the plants, but not in the wholesome form. Means the phytoconstituents. It could be a derivative, it could be isolate, it could be a molecule. So minimum 4 molecule based any phytopharmaceutical, that is also going to be regulated, and now there is a separate category, but that is just like chemical drug. And Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, that is one category, and it is very legally defined in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. Yes. If you see the WHO strategy for traditional medicine. So when I say traditional medicine, it is inclusive of homeopathy also. And luckily, I had been involved in WHO discussions because I worked in WHO, and after that also, when I came back to ministry, I am still involved in the WHO activities. So whenever we talk about anything of traditional medicine, the homeopathy is also included in that. And if you see the WHO strategy for traditional medicine, for the development of traditional medicine across the globe or in the member countries, there are four building blocks. There were 4 building blocks, but now the 5th has also come in 2014. If you see the decadal strategy of WHO for 2014-2023. So in that strategy, one more component has been added. So the 4 building blocks are policy. Policy for the practice, policy for the practitioner, policy for the product. And luckily, India, the government of India has provided all policy support for all these things, for the practice, for the practitioner, and for the product, right, within the country. Now, as far as the product is concerned, the three attributes are very, very important: the safety of the product, the efficacy of the product, quality of the product. Now, in the context of homeopathic drugs, the issues which come to us means evidence of safety, evidence of efficacy, evidence of quality. And that evidence has to be objective, not the subjective evidence. Objective evidence. So this, because if we think about the drugs, so all the regulatory provisions, what are regulations? Regulation means to enforce the standards. Standards are the prerequisite of regulations. What you will regulate if you not have the standards? So standards means standard operating procedures, standard testing protocol, standard material, everything. Means if you have the standards only, then you can regulate. Otherwise, what the regulator will do? What the drug controller will do? What he will check? If a sample is picked up from the market, what he will check if you don't have the standards? Right? So this is a prerequisite, means the standard of the safety, standard of the efficacy, and standard of the quality. It's important. Another is access. Access to homeopathic system medicine, access to homeopathy education, access to homeopathic drugs, it is increasing day by day because of policy support from Government of India. Now, another building block for the WHO strategy for traditional medicine, that also includes a rational use. This is a question, this has to be addressed at the practitioner level, a rational use. How to prescribe, what to prescribe, when to prescribe, means homeopathic medicines or other medicines also. And second is we need to enhance our knowledge base. Which knowledge base? The scientific knowledge base. Yesterday, I was, when I entered into this complex, I was given a paper on the program, that program sheet, exploring science for 40 years, the concept. I would say that it should be exploring scientific inputs for homeopathy. Exploring scientific inputs for homeopathy. I think that should be the aim, that should be the slogan for the next couple of years, so that we would put science into homeopathy. Means science for demonstrating the safety, science for demonstrating the efficacy, and science for demonstrating the quality of homeopathic drugs. Now, what is GMP? Good manufacturing practices. Means to follow certain standards. So good manufacturing practices is a system for ensuring that products are consistently produced and controlled according to the quality standards. Standards of the materials, standard of the methods, standards of the procedure, all those things have to be standardized. So this is the set of guidelines which are meant for ensuring that products are consistently produced in the same manner and they are of the same quality. And it is designed to minimize the risks involved in any pharmaceutical production, means any drug production, that cannot be eliminated through testing the final product. If you have not followed that procedure, that method, so when you have the finished product, then you cannot eliminate that risk. So minimizing those risks needs following a standard procedure. And what are the risks that need to be minimized? The foremost and the first is contamination. Contamination of the raw materials. Today, the whole world is worried about impurities in the drugs, not about the purities. They are more worried about the impurities, whether heavy metals or whether aflatoxins or whether pesticides reduce or the microbial load or any other thing. They are more worried about the impurity. That is why they have prescribed the permissible limits of impurities, permissible limit of heavy metal, permissible limit of pesticides reduce. It's more important. Not only in drugs, even in the food products, right? So unexpected contamination of raw materials and products causing damage to health. Because if the impurities are there, if they are beyond the permissible limits, definitely they are going to cause health hazards. So incorrect labels on the containers. So that is an also important thing. Sometimes the label is wrong. The dose, just last week, 10 days back, one WhatsApp message came to me. There was a product manufactured in the month of March, but the label was showing that it's manufactured in April. And we came to know that where this product has been manufactured. We immediately forwarded to the drug controller that take action. How a product can come to the market in the month of March with the label that it is manufactured in April? Right? So all these things need to be controlled. So why GMP? The quality of finished herbal products, I am talking about herbal products, including of homeopathic drugs also, is also influenced by the quality of the raw materials. And for this reason, application of good manufacturing practices in the manufacture of Ayush herbal medicines is an essential tool to ensure their quality and safety, which have become a major concern for health authorities, pharmaceutical industries, and the public worldwide due to constant increase in the use of herbal medicines. Now, I think the market for herbal drugs, including homeopathy, it is very lucrative across the world. It is expected that it is going to be the tune of trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. Not only in the countries where the traditional medicine is practiced, but even in the developed world, the herbal medicines, the homeopathic medicines, or the alternative medicines, they have a good market. And the estimates which are coming, which have come from the World Bank, which have come from the WHO, they are very surprising. I think many things, they are still not reported. Because the use of traditional medicine, the use of these products, that is in the form of self-health care. These are not the prescription products. Many, they are in the self-health care. And the products which are dispensed by the practitioners, they are also not reported. So I think the business is huge opportunities. The scope of GMP. GMP covers all aspects of production, from the starting material, from the premises where the products are going to be manufactured, the equipment which is going to be used, and the persons who are working for manufacturing of the products. Their hygiene condition, their health status, their training, everything that has to be covered under this GMP provisions. Detailed, and another thing is, whatever you are going to do in the manufacturing premises, that has to be demonstrable. Detailed written procedures, everything written. Like, if you are taking the raw material from the vendor, at what point of time it was taken, where it was kept, and regarding the use of raw material, there is a principle that FIFA, first in, first out. The material which has come first, that should be used first. So all these things, that has to be put in black and white, right? So detailed written procedures are essential for each process that could affect the quality of the finished product. And then the system must provide documented proof that what you have done. If you have done the testing of the process, or if you have done the testing of the material at the intermediate stage or at the finished final stage, that has to be documented. Who did the testing? On what date it was done? And who is accountable if something wrong has been done? If there is any lapse, who is accountable? So all those things, those need to be documented. So documented proof, that is very, very important. And this is the document, WHO GMP guidelines document. It came out in 2005-6. This strategy, WHO traditional medicine strategy, it came in 2002. And this is also a very interesting story. Just last week, not last week, 4 days back, we celebrated World Health Day. World Health Day is the day when this WHO, it was constituted with the resolution of the UN of 1947. So on 7th April 1948, WHO was. So WHO is a technical body. It is a technical body. It is not a funding body. It is a technical body to help the governments across the globe. Presently, 193 countries, they are the members of WHO, to provide technical support, to develop technical documents and series of technical documents. So in those series, traditional medicine documents, they also appeared. So WHO has published many documents related to technical guidelines for traditional medicine, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is practice, whether it is integration in the health system. So many things they have published, and this is one document that was published in 2000. When they brought out this strategy, WHO Traditional Medicine Strategy in 2002, after that, in the next 3 years, they brought out this document. But this document is supplementary to the core document, because the core document that was developed for pharmaceutical products. And why this documents were developed? Because in the world, there were many countries, those who are not having any regulatory mechanism. There was no regulatory mechanism. The regulators were not there. There were no manufacturing units. So those poor member countries of WHO, they approached WHO that put in place such a system where the products from one country could be traded to the other country. And it should be objective procedure, very objective. So the concept of this WHO GMP certification and the concept of COPP, Certificate of Pharmaceutical Product, that came up, and it was introduced in 1969. In 1969, initially for the pharmaceutical products. So the countries, those who are having the manufacturers, those who are having the regulatory authorities, so there was an agreement between the WHO and the member country that, okay, if this certificate is to be issued, who will issue the certificate? So that has to be issued by the national drug regulator, not by the state regulator. Since I am looking after drugs quality control, I have seen that for many, some of the Ayurveda products, the certificate COPP has been given by the state licensing authority. That cannot be issued. It has to be issued by the national regulator, because it is a question of export. So if anything is going out of the country, it has to be signed, authorized by the national regulator, not by the state regulator. This is an important thing. So these are the different parameters which are taken into consideration in the context of good manufacturing practices. If you saw some quality management, quality assurance, quality control, the qualifications and the validation, then the contract, so many parameters are there which are taken into consideration in the country. Indian GMP for ASU drugs. It was introduced, there was a small element of GMP in the form of hygienic and the sanitary conditions of the manufacturing premises, and that was introduced long back in 1970. But it was revised in 2000, and then a grace period of 3 years was given, and finally it was introduced, it was implemented with effect from March 2003. And the Schedule T is there. Similarly, for the homeopathic medicines, there is Schedule M1, right? The overall, the contours of these GMP guidelines for homeopathy, it is almost same which is there in the WHO GMP guidelines or for the Ayurveda Siddha Unit, but some significant difference is there, right? So in the case of homeopathy drugs, the GMP guidelines under Schedule M1, it talks about general requirements, the location of the manufacturing unit, the surroundings, the building, then the means manufacturing plant, the equipment, requirement of the equipment and facilities, what kind of equipment is required, even for the testing of the drugs, and the quality control, raw materials, procedures. So everything that has been mentioned. Now the 5 important things, 5M. These are the you can say the basis of GMP. Number 1, the materials. Whatever material you use, again it should be of a standard quality, standardized. Raw material or packing material, whatever it may be. So materials. And second M is machines through which you are going to manufacture your product. So machines means time and again the calibration is required, so many things. Then the methods. So steps of manufacturing, everything that has to be standardized. and men means manpower, whether they are scientific persons or whether they are non-scientific persons. So their training, their hygiene condition, their health status, all those things need to be taken care of. But the most important thing is, the fifth one is most important. Unless you have the mentality for achieving quality in your product, you cannot do this. You can have best of the machines, you can have the best of the methods, you can have best of the guidelines or the documents in the manufacturing processes, but if you don't have the mindset to derive quality, you cannot achieve that, because quality cannot be achieved by chance. It is never by accident. It has to be generated. And for generating quality, constant efforts are required at every step. And these are the WHO GMP guidelines. And now about GMP and the COPP. So WHO GMP requirements have been developed taking into account the principles of GMP in different texts, So means a global consultation was held. The experts from different countries, they participated in the discussions, and ultimately this WHO GMP guidelines were framed and these were published. And also it also considered the requirements of developing countries, because not only of the developed world, but also of the developing countries. So that is why our GMP, if you see the domestic GMP for homeopathic drugs, domestic GMP for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, that is quite different what is there. Because we need to see the needs and the circumstances of the native country also. Because how the other industries are going to be regulated. We cannot have WHO GMP for all the industry, all the manufacturing units, right? So the minimum requirements which can be fulfilled by the industry, accordingly we prepare our regulations. We put the things in the GMP schedule, right? And now for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, there is a demand that let it be enhanced, it may be augmented, but you know that 95% of the manufacturing units of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and homeopathy drugs, they are in micro, small and medium scale. Hardly 50 players are big players, those who are exporting. Very few. So these are, and these are the WHO publications. I think those who are from the manufacturing side, they must have information, knowledge of these publications, WHO publications. This TRS number 937, this pertains to herbal drugs, WHO GMP guidelines for the herbal drugs, herbal medicines. I think this should be applicable to homeopathy drugs also. And the core document, that is TRS 908, which was published in 2003. It is a revised document. So when this WHO GMP certification or the COPP certification is done, it is done by co-locating the two documents. So the whatever guidelines are given in these two documents, they are put together, and accordingly the decision is taken by the regulator. So as a whole, GMP control for herbal medicine needs to meet the technical requirements of both sets of guidelines, whether they are for because the principal document, the core document, that is for pharmaceutical drugs. But a supplementary guidelines means 937, these are important for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and other herbal drugs. Right? And these are the documents which are required in acquiring GMP compliance. I mean, what should be there in the manufacturing premises? The policy. You must have a policy for quality. How you will manage the quality, how you will control the quality. So policy for the quality. Then you must have the SOPs, standard operating procedures for everything. Even if some beaker is to be washed, how the beaker is to be washed. So for that also, right? How you will have to change the clothes when you enter the manufacturing. So for that also SOP is required. So SOPs and STPs, standard testing protocols, specifications, master formula record, means every aspect of the formula, right from the starting material and to the finished product. The label, everything. Then the batch manufacturing records, manuals. Manuals means manuals for the workers who are working in the manufacturing premises, whether they are a technical person or not technical person. Means how to carry a pack from one place to the other place. For that also, where to keep it. So all these things means for that the manual should be there. Master plan validation protocols, forms and formats, records, record of everything. Mean record of intake of the raw material, record of using some raw material and taking it to the formulation, then whether that formulation was accepted in the market or not, if it is discarded because of some reason, because of quality, that record also you need to be kept. Everything is important. So all records. So that is why this post-market surveillance. So when the recall is there because of some defect in the quality of the product, so that product is recalled. So when it was recalled, which batch was recalled? So all those things need to be put in the record. So these are the certain guidance related to the factory premises. And then for the equipment, there are different for Ayurveda Siddha, different for Unani, and the list of recommended for list of equipment recommended for in-house quality control section. That is also important. I think it might be there in the for homeopathy drugs also in the schedule M1. And what is the advantage of WHO GMP? WHO GMP ensure the following. One is avoidance of cross-contamination. This is the first thing. Means contamination at all levels is avoided. Secondly, the prevention of mix-up. So the possibility of mix-up. So that is also avoided. And traceability. Traceability is very important. Means which product, when it was made, when it was packed, and which material was used, and that material when it was procured, when it was tested, when it was put in the quarantine. So all these things, see, so traceability, accountability of the actions, means if some report, means testing report, if it is not acceptable, then who did the test and who was the quality control manager. So all those things means these responsibilities and accountabilities, these have to be mentioned. And the product performance guarantee means when the product goes to the market, so whether it is performing as per your claims or not. And COPP. COPP is the certificate which is given to a product. It is never to a group of products. It is only to a specific product. If it qualifies as per the provisions of the WHO GMP guidelines, how it has been manufactured. So if the quality of that product is assured, means it is a second assurance. Second assurance which is given by the national regulator. A certificate is given by the national regulator which is called as COPP, Certificate of Pharmaceutical Product. And that with that certificate, the importing country regulator is satisfied that, okay, this product can be allowed to be market authorized. Market authorization can be given to that product, or license or a registration of that product in that country. So there are two things. One, acceptability by the importing country regulator, and secondly, assurance from the regulator of the exporting country. And COPP is given by the regulator of the exporting country, from where the product is going to be exported. Right? It cannot be the other way. No? If some product is coming to a country, the regulator of that country cannot give COPP for that product. It has to be given by the regulator of the exporting country. So this is it. And these are the different steps means for granting COPP. It has to be issued by the national regulator, national authority, and for that a request has to be made by the manufacturer. It could be made by the manufacturers, it could be made even by the customer. It can be, means customer. Or it can also be made by the national authority. Means if some other country, they want that, okay, we want a COPP of this product, so they can also apply, the country government also. So authorities in the importing country, they can also request the regulator of the exporting country that, okay, we want the COPP of this particular product. And it has to be product specific, and it also states, the COPP also states that whether the product is marketed in that country, If it is not marketed in country, then the COPP cannot be issued. Because if the product is marketed in this country, it means that itself is a assurance that it is safe. So that also has to be mentioned in the COPP. And the World Health Organization standard format, there is a standard format. You cannot change the format. It is a standard format developed by WHO. In that format, this certificate is issued. But again, there is no stamp of WHO. There is no stamp of WHO. But again, the national regulator will have to certify that this certificate is given in accordance with the WHO GMP guidelines for COPP. Right? So that is a sort of a double assurance of quality. So COPP in WHO format generally covers the need for overall documentation regarding the product as well as the manufacturer. Now, the national authority, the national regulator, just on receiving the application or the request or the proposal does not issue the COPP. So the procedure which we have adopted in our country is when the proposal is submitted to the national regulator, a copy comes to the Ministry of Ayush also. Because we have the mandate to control Ayush drugs. So there is dual examination of the proposal. Examination by the CDSCO, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, and examination of the proposal by the Ministry of Ayush as a central drug regulator for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and homeopathy drugs. Then we see the proposal in accordance with in the light of the legal provisions for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs. Means if we are going to consider the proposal for granting WHO GMP, for granting COPP, it means first of all the first requirement is whether the product is qualifying as per our legal provisions or not. Means whatever requirements are there, legal requirements, whether those are fulfilled or not. So that assurance is given by the Ministry of Ayush. Because the rule 151 to 169 of the drugs and cosmetic rules and section 33B to 33P, that is administered by Ministry of Ayush. But the homeopathic drugs, again it is in the allopathic side, and unfortunately there is no homeopathy expert. There is no homeopathy expert. So that is why we have decided that this homeopathy drug part should also come under the control of Ministry of Ayush, and under that the same drug technical advisory board, different from the allopathic drugs. This is the certification scheme, and so means when we give the certificate, so there are two things. One is manufacturing part of the product. Means manufacturing of the product has been done in a proper way, in a standardized way. So that assurance is also given through this certificate. And second is there is assurance towards the safety, quality and efficacy of the product. So it covers two parts. Evidence of positive quality. Positive quality means the quality which you are claiming. It means that quality has been verified by the regulator by making inspection. And another interesting thing is COPP, Certificate of Pharmaceutical Product, cannot be issued if the manufacturing unit is not WHO GMP compliant. So first of all, WHO GMP certification is required. And the product manufactured in the WHO GMP compliant unit, that will get the COPP. It cannot happen that you get a COPP without having WHO GMP compliance. Right? So first of all, GMP certification. So for that, the inspection of the manufacturing premises is done by a trilateral team. One representative from the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, means a representative of the Drug Controller General. Second, one from the Ministry of Ayush. We have appointed central inspectors, we have appointed drug controllers and deputy drug controllers. And the third one is from the state drug controller side, representative of the state drug controller. So three persons, three experts, they go, they take, they do the inspection of the premises, they do the inspection of the manufacturing processes, equipment, everything, records, rules. Then a report is submitted to the Drug Controller General, and on the basis of that report, means there could be certain suggestions for improvement, there could be certain recommendations that, okay, this more document, one more document is required, some more information is required, the team is not satisfied, or like that. So once all the things are complete, only then the DCGI, Drug Controller General, then they issue the certificate. And the certifying authority is responsible for assuring the authenticity of the certified data. Means whatever data has been shown to the regulator or to the team, it means when the regulator is putting the stamp on that and signing that certificate, it means he is assured of the data which was shown to him. So if something wrong is reported from the other country, from the importing country, then that importing country regulator will not ask the manufacturer, they will ask the regulator why this certificate was given. And certificate should not bear the WHO emblem, but the statement should always be included to confirm whether or not the documents is issued in the format recommended by WHO. So a statement has to be made there by the regulator when he signs the certificate that this is in the same format as recommended by WHO, right? And these are the advantages of this COPP scheme. It uses standard format. This is one thing, means no variation from country to country, from state to state, or anywhere, the same format across the globe. It can enable importing country to get all the information they need to know about the product they import. They will get all the, means the manufacturing part as well as the quality part. So quality assurance, manufacturing, means whether the product has been manufactured in accordance with the GMP guidelines, and secondly, the quality assured or not. When I say quality, safety and efficacy is subsumed in that. Quality has all the three attributes: the quality itself, the safety also. You cannot have a product of quality without being safe, right? So it can enable importing countries to get all the information they need to know about the product they import. It can enhance the exchange of information between the countries and can lead to harmonization of information. It can oblige certifying authorities to disclose important information to the importing. So once a certificate for a product is given, issued, then the importing country, if he have raises some doubt or some query, then that query or that doubt has to be answered by the regulator. Right? This is the thing. Now, this is the whole procedure, means application comes to the CDSCO, simultaneously to Ayush Ministry also. It is optional. Sometimes what happens, initially the proposal come to the CDSCO, CDSCO makes a copy of it and send to the Ministry of Ayush. And sometimes the manufacturers or the applicant makes two applications, send one to the CDSCO and send another to the Ministry of Ayush. Then it is examined by the CDSCO, then the application is forwarded to the Ministry of Ayush, examination of specific parameters in drug control cell. We have drug control cell in the Ministry of Ayush. It is done there. Then there is nomination of officers for inspection. Then the inspection is done, and then the report is submitted to the regulator. National regulator means the CDSCO, and then that certificate is either given or it could be rejected. And if you see how can quality be achieved in a product, so it is by practice, a constant practice. It is not by chance. And this can happen if you follow the GMP. Following professional guidance. You may not be having all the experts in your manufacturing premises. External guidance is required. Records and corrective measures, regular monitoring, compliance to the regulations. This is very important. Means domestic regulation. You cannot have a WHO GMP certificate without following the local regulations, domestic regulations. Culturing the right attitude and the priority. And once you have the GMP, you just think of that, what are the benefits of GMP? Just 1.5 months back, we conducted a series of training programs of quality control and regulations for the industry and for the state regulators. One of the manufacturers told us that when I acquired GMP, within 3 years, my turnover, it got enhanced from 60 lakhs to 6 crores. Because that GMP compliance it enhances the credibility of the product, acceptability of the product. And when we say quality, so quality is the denominator of the value of the product. Once you have the quality, it gives confidence to the practitioner to prescribe that product. It gives confidence to the regulator that, okay, this product is okay, no problem. And it also gives confidence to the manufacturers that, okay, my product can penetrate the market. Right? So GMP boosts confidence, GMP reduces rework, means again and again you will have not to do the work on the same product. GMP makes good business sense, GMP improves working conditions, GMP enhances prestige, quality, and GMP also help to augment trade. And if you see presently the status of our industry, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy drugs, we have around 45 manufacturing units in the government sector. Means the government-run pharmacies at the central level or by the state. But the major part is in the private sectors. And as on date, we have 8,667 manufacturing units of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and Homeopathy drugs. And mainly they are micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the maximum number is of Ayurveda, 7,438, 39, and the homeopathy manufacturing units, they are 408. We implemented GMP in 2003 for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, and for homeopathy drugs with effect from 2010. But still in the country, 13.6% of the manufacturing units, they are not GMP compliant. And most of the manufacturing units, they are in Uttar Pradesh. 1,265 manufacturing units in the country, means the contribution is from UP, those who are non-GMP compliant. And another very concerning issue is that we introduced this program, WHO GMP for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, and other herbal drugs in 2010. Now, in the last 7-8 years, hardly 11 or 12 companies, they have obtained this certification. And only 212 products, they are WHO GMP certified and COPP certified. This is the situation. And we so much boast of our products, we so much boast of our systems that, okay, they have the potential. It means the intention. Right? So thank you very much.
One small question, sir. So just one small question.
Discussion में आ जाएगा, फिर बाद में करेंगे।
I have a
very large discussion.
आधा घंटा लेट हो रहे हैं, कर रहे हैं।
Thank you so much, Dr. D.C. Katoch, for enlightening us on the issue WHO strategy policy for practice, practitioner, and product. Since this session is drug development and regulation is focusing on homeopathic manufacturing industries, so this GMP and COPP is an important and integral part of the session. And thanks again, Dr. Katoch, for making us more aware with your deep knowledge and experience in this area. Now, I would like to request Mr. Jack Henricks, Managing Director, Remedy Bank, for his presentation on status of regulation of homeopathic medicinal products in Europe and the activities of Remedy Bank. Please welcome Mr. Jack Henricks.
Can I have the first slide? First slide. The black one. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Dear Mr. Chairman, Dr. Bakshi and Dr. Singh, Dr. Katoch, Dr. Joseph, members of staff of the Ayush and of CCRH, dear delegates, dear ladies and gentlemen. This is the presentation of the status of regulations of homeopathic medicinal products in Europe and I will try also to bring to you the idea and the realization of Remedy Bank. Remedy Bank is a company that started in 2011, and I will first explore the reasons why Remedy Bank was born by bringing to you different situations in Europe versus India, because in Europe there is a crisis going on. And one of the things that is important before we go that way is that we talk about some definitions, that we talk about the same thing, because sometimes words are used in a different way, and I want to be sure that the definitions are set right. After that, we will talk about the specific European legislation regarding homeopathy and regarding homeopathic drugs. I will talk about this availability crisis of the remedies in Europe, and finally talk about the solutions that are handed over by Remedy Bank. Sorry, I didn't follow. No, okay. Okay. So first we will talk about these definitions, and there are three definitions I want to explore, and that is what is meant by Europe, because if you talk about European legislation, we should understand what is Europe. Then for the registration of the medicinal products, I want to specify how it is done in Europe. And what about the homeopathic medicinal products? They are a little bit different in the legislation than the normal allopathic drugs. And so Europe is 28 countries, unfortunately -1 in 2 years, because Great Britain decided to leave the European Union. But it is important to realize that Europe is not the same like the geographical Europe. So countries like Norway, for instance, countries like Switzerland, they don't make part of the Union, and they don't make part of this legislation. And so Europe is governed by a European Council. The Council is formed by the heads of state. The heads of state appoint per country a commissioner. So the European Commission is the same thing like the ministers in your national government. They have all their own authorities. So there is also a commissioner for health. And under the Commissioner of Health is the EMEA. EMEA is a European Medicinal Agency. They are, amongst other things, responsible for editing the pharmacopoeia, the European pharmacopoeia. European pharmacopoeia supersedes all other pharmacopoeias that are recognized, and for homeopathy there are 2, in Germany and in France. So, but first comes the regulations of the pharmacopoeia. Then for homeopathic medicinal drugs, there is a special committee, HPMWG, Homeopathic Medicinal Products Working Party. They are composed of all the subcommissions in every country that manage the regulations on homeopathic medicinal products. So the HMPWG comes together with all the countries of Europe every 6 months, and they issue a number of guidelines for homeopathy. Then on top of it is the European Parliament, which is elected, and there's European elections, and the European Parliament controls the Council and the Commission. So if there is no regulation coming out of the parliament. The regulation on European level are called directives. So it's not called law, but it's the same thing. A directive, a European directive, has force of law, and has force of law in every member state. So every member state must adapt his own legislation to the directives which are issued by the European or voted by the European Parliament. When there is no directive available for the specific issue, then it is the national governments who take national measures. And for instance, the German and the French pharmacopoeia are examples of national law, because pharmacopoeia has force of law. It's the same like a law. And for instance, monographs who are not available in the European pharmacopoeia, okay, just look to the German or the French. If they are not there, then the problem starts, because then you have to look at non-official pharmacopoeias, which includes that you have to validate the information you find. So to be clear, pharmacopoeial information is validated information. As a producer, as a manufacturer, you don't need to reprove what is in the pharmacopoeia. If you deliver such texts to the authorities, they have no reason to doubt your input. Okay, so what is a medicinal product? Well, that's the definition. Any substance, in short terms, is the definition of any substance presented as having curative or preventive properties. Look at presented as. It doesn't have to have these qualities. If it is presented as, it's enough to be a drug, legally. There are three ways of making medicinal products. Registered drugs, that is in fact the most used term that we talk about here today. Just till now I heard nothing but GMP, so this is applicable to registered medicinal products. Not registered medicinal products are those who are made in pharmacies. They are drugs like the registered drug. They have the same status. They have the same status as drug, but they have not the same regulation. So the regulation in pharmacy is the one which is defined by GPP instead of GMP. So good preparation practice is a valid regulation in pharmacy. The difference between the two is the responsibility of the preparer. In industry, you take the responsibility of a very large group of users that you don't know personally. In a pharmacy, you know personally the person to which you deliver the medicament. And so the information, the warnings and everything, you can give him directly, while in industry you have a much more area to cover, and therefore the GMP is different from GPP. In the homeopathic medicinal products, we have two kinds of registrations in Europe. One is called the simplified registration, Article 14 of the directive, which is not simple, and the complete registration, Article 16, which is not complete. But we will talk about that later. The medicinal product, the homeopathic medicinal product is defined by a definition in the directive number 2001/83 as amended, because there have been amendments. And they are not to be confused with the definition of herbal medicine and phytotherapy medicine. So the definition of, just a moment, because I'm a little bit confused. The definition of homeopathic medicinal product is any product which is produced from stocks. Stocks is the starting material from your homeopathic medicine, and everything which comes out by dilution and potentization is called a homeopathic medicine. This means also that in Europe, the starting material from a homeopathic drug, the stock, is not a medicinal product. So you need dilution and you need potentization before you can talk about a medicinal product. It's important for the rest of the story. So we have had some definitions here, and now we will go to look at the European legislation regarding homeopathic products. I have to go back, yes. So this definition of homeopathic products, I already talked about it. You can find it in the European Pharmacopoeia, in the Directive 2001/83, and so that is the definition. That is the text which is in the law, and so the special definitions of what should be done in case of the simplified and the non-simplified, the complete registration is further in the legislation. But the Article 1 is the most important one. The Article 14, simplified registration, says the following. First of all, the drug needs to be administered orally or externally. So let's say nose drops, ear drops are regarded as externally, nose drops are regarded as internally. The injections, for instance, are not under this regulation, only oral and external. No specific therapeutical indication, no therapeutical claims. So you cannot say on a product this is good for this or that. This goes very far. You cannot publish separate documentation on it, or you cannot mention it on a website. So the product has to be simply the name of the components. And then the dilution grade is at least 1 to 10,000, so D4, and at least 100 of the concentration of the allopathic product used in the same way. So if you want to make a simplified registration for Atropa belladonna, the content of scopolamine, atropine has to be below this 1/100th of the therapeutical dose of those products. This is in fact done by the allopathic lobby because they want to make sure that under the homeopathic law, no allopathic drugs are sold. Because there was in the beginning a tendency of some allopathic manufacturers who used this homeopathic exceptional registration procedure, the complete registration procedure, to easily put products, allopathic products, under the name of homeopathy on the market. Then you have the extended registration, which goes like this. So the homeopathic medicinal products not listed under Article 14 or not falling under Article 14, they have to follow the rules of the allopathic drugs. That is what this text saying. There is one exception, and that is the clinical verification. So you don't need to do clinical trials for homeopathic products in Europe. You have to prove that your product is used traditionally in homeopathy, and you have to collect all possible data to understand that this product is a homeopathic product. Now, this is really quickly said, but very difficult to do. So what you need is not testing the product in clinic, but you need reports of use of the product and these kind of things to prove that your product is really a homeopathic product. This, in fact, the CTD is the document by which you have to registrate your products. Simplified or complete, same thing. The only difference is in the module number 4. So you see there are 5 modules. On the top is a general module with general data, who are you, where is the company, and so on. It's not part of the CTD. CTD is common technical document. And I think it's comparable to the COPP that Dr. Katosh talked about. So in Europe it's called CTD, and there are 4 modules in each registration, also for allopathics. But this green block number 4 in allopathy means a clinical verification. Clinical tests, you know, it's millions of euros per drug. So in homeopathy it was not possible, and they started this procedure of justification of homeopathic use. That is the name they gave to this concept. So as you see, there is one module which is very interesting for us, module 3. It is giving all the information about the identity, the safety, the purity, and the assay of the drug. Toxicology, all these kind of things which are really product related, substance related, they are in module 3. All the other things are in module 4 and 5. And for the simplified registration, you only need to do module 5. So the clinical verification with literature, you don't need to do. Now, a homeopathic medicinal product working party, I touched already the subject. You can find the information about them and what they do under this web address. But they have published different kind of interesting documents. So that, like the list of substances with homeopathic justification. So the authorities have taken themselves the responsibility of finding out the documentation for the homeopathic drugs, which is a kind of relief for the manufacturers, but on the other hand, the manufacturers are bound by the pace and by the content of what they find. So that's the disadvantage. Then they have a table of first safe dilutions. This means that not every dilution in homeopathy is safe. D1, D2, D3, take care, because sometimes they are toxic. And one of the examples I want to give, which was really striking, because we have 2 different pharmacopoeias, or 2 different methods of producing tinctures, the German and the French. Well, Drosera rotundifolia, for instance, if you take it according to the German pharmacopoeia, the first safe dilution is D9. If you take it for the French pharmacopoeia, it's D4. So this can be a very big difference. Huh? It's a factor 100,000. Huh? So what they do also is a quality issue on microbiology. They have edited documents on viral safety, shelf life testing, and so on. And they provide also help for the fulfilling of CTD Model 3, the one on the product. Mutual recognition, I will not go into that, but that's also something they do. There is a procedure for recognizing each other's drugs in Europe with one central file, but that's too complicated. Module 3 provides a number of informations, and I'm going very fast through this, but to give you an idea of what is asked by Module 3, that is what is asked by Module 3. So, and to be more specific, for raw materials of botanical origin, for instance, this is the list. The list of things you have to provide in your CTD, on Module 3 only. And like Dr. Katosh specified, it's not enough to give data. You have to validate this data. So everything in manufacturing, the machinery, everything in analytical laboratory should be validated. The files will be included in the CTD. For materials of biological origin, there is an even longer list. And that's also the reason why this problem is emerging. The availability is hampered by all these requirements. Okay. So I'm skipping this one. This is really some explanations about European pharmacopoeia. So it's not so important for the future of my talk. Let's see what this availability crisis is about. So the problem is that many companies who are manufacturers, so not pharmacies but manufacturers, they have to provide all these data in the CTDs. And this is also costing. This is costing a lot of money. It is evaluated that a CTD in some countries can go up to more than 200,000 euro per product. And some countries are even asking a CTD per dilution. So many companies in Europe decide to reduce the number of remedies they produce. And for instance, companies like a Boiron, like a DHU, they have reduced the number of products on the market by a factor 10. So now we are looking, instead of 2,000 or 2,500 products in the catalog, we are looking to 250 to 400. This is causing a problem in prescribing. And so a number of remedies have simply gone off the market. And 2/3 of the prescriptions in Europe has problems to be executed, especially by manufactured remedies. So fortunately, we have also the circuit of the pharmacies, who is taking over this gap. And fortunately, this is the savior of classical homeopathy. Otherwise, a lot of remedies would have disappeared. So what is stimulating for this crisis? The directive is stimulating because it regulates Europe. So there is no concurrence between the countries on regulations. That's an important thing. But on the other hand, the regulations are complicating all these efforts. And then sorry. The pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia is a valid instrument, so it's making the fulfillment of the files easier. But on the other hand, it's also a fact that there is no recognition of other pharmacopoeias than the European. And finally, the magistral preparations in officinas are a very good thing, but on the other hand, we lack the registration of such drugs, so the marketing is not so easy. Skip this one. So, how can Remedy Bank help? Remedy Bank is a Belgian company with a production in Holland of starting materials in homeopathy. This means not only mother tinctures, also the chemicals and other products which are used as starting materials. So no drugs, only starting materials. They call API, active pharmaceutical ingredients. At this moment we have 35 shareholders, and in 6 years we have put in 3.5 million euro. The shares value of Remedy Bank actually is 2,500, so everyone can enter in the company and everyone can also leave the company by putting in shares of 2,500 euro. We have a board of pharmacists, and the company is situated in the north of Holland. We have a garden producing plants for homeopathic tinctures, and we are planning to get as much as possible all the APIs which are used in homeopathy. And by the end of 2019, we should have about 200 remedies ready. The bottles we sell is 5 ml of the product, or 5 grams of the product, not more, because it's only for homeopathy, not for phyto or something, so the quantity is very low. The price is 55 per bottle, and there is a rabatt at this moment for launching the products. And then I had prepared a small video of the garden. If some time is left afterwards, we can eventually show you the video, but I will skip it at this moment. It's showing the garden and the laboratory production. It takes 5 minutes, but we can do it later. Please? Yeah? The video takes 5 minutes, and then it's the last thing. So here you see the garden in all the different aspects. The quantities of the plants for every remedy are very limited. Only 3 or 4 plants that we make really, that we can harvest many kilos, but most of them is 2-3 kilos of the plant. So we can make 2.5 liters of tincture of each. That is useful enough product for homeopathy, because you only need small quantities. In the industry, we make liters and liters of tincture. This means that it is used for phytotherapeutic. I will not give comment really on each plant. If you like, and the garden and the laboratory is visitable for everyone. So just mention that you are coming, and we will get you in Amsterdam or elsewhere, and make sure that you can visit the complete company. You can visit more than one time, because the garden is continuously changing. In spring it's different as in autumn. We have in total 800 plants in the garden, of which about 700 have descriptions in homeopathy. This garden is completely certified. All the plants are identified and botanically identified, and the soil is bio-certified. We have complete GACP documentation. This is something I want to add to the first speech, that it doesn't stop with GMP many times. You also have the good agricultural and collection practice, GACP. You have good laboratory practice for the analyzers. You have good distribution practice for the distribution of your drugs. So it doesn't stop with GMP. And we are fully GMP and GDP certified. And the garden is GACP certified. The garden has a greenhouse, but the greenhouse is not used for plants which are exotic plants. We use the greenhouse only to start the small seedlings and then put them in the garden outside to grow. On top of the garden are 2 gardeners who are doing this for 35 years. So all the plants are really identified. They have seeds. Each year they collect seeds from each plant. For if the plant goes away, or if it's a plant who only grows 1 year or 2 years, they can reproduce it the year later. This is this greenhouse. And from the garden, so at the time of harvest, according to the pharmacopoeia, the plants are taken and are brought to the laboratory, to the production. And the first phase of the production is then identification of the plant. Once this analytical report is done, the plant goes immediately into processing, cutting, adding alcohol, and yes, okay. So this is what Remedy Bank can do for you, provide you certified raw materials. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Henriks, for giving us information about European pharmacopoeia and its working process. One thing I would like to add, in our Drug and Cosmetic Act, it is also mentioned in the definition under the 2DD that injectable medicines are not considered in the homeopathic medicines, as he said in the European directives also. And yes, we agree we have to validate the data, GAP, GCP, since we have, our industries are working on that, and we have a number of GMP industries also. And thanks for providing the information of homeopathic medicinal plants in his remedy bank. I think it will be a useful information for our industry people that he is having a certified with GACP protocol more than 700 medicinal plants in his garden. So now we'll move for the next speaker. I would like to request Dr. GVR Joseph, Director Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Laboratory. He will discuss the testing homeopathic drugs, challenges and possibilities. Please welcome Dr. GVR Joseph.
Good morning to everyone. My apologies for coming late because of the unavoidable and administrative reasons. I was rushed to some place where I was stuck up. Now, the topic is given by the organizer. It is even challenging to me to speak because the testing of the homeopathic drugs, because we have a scientist not only from the industry, we have a scientist from the other end where they speak without any proof. How can you say that this ingredient, whether the quality of the medicine is proper or not? But one thing, before starting my presentation, I want to say that whatever may be the reasons, homeopathy is growing, it is growing, it is growing. And it is having the well acceptability not only in India, all over the world. So, with this introduction, I just want to start my lecture. Yeah, green only. Where is the remote yeah. Now, as I mentioned that it is homeopathic drugs are unique in nature. When we talk of homeopathy medicine and the rest of the other medicines, like whether it is allopathy, Unani, Siddha, or the rest of the medicines, actually there is some uniqueness that all the manufacturers and the people who are involved in the standardization, they are quite aware of that, because in homeopathy, most of the times we use the dilutions. Now, the rest of the world, rest of the other systems of the medicines, no doubt there may be a dilutions, but not like homeopathic systems of the medicines that actually they generally, follow. Now, next please. See, there are various forms of the homeopathy medicines that we all know. This is nothing new. Like we have the mother tinctures, we have the tablets, we have the potencies, which is one of the difficult tasks for the standardization or the ascertaining the quality. Then we have the ointments, we have the formulations, we have the oils, we have the eye drops. So, these type of the forms of the these type of the different type of the medicines what we see in homeopathy. Now, for analysis of the mother tincture, because the organizer told me 15 minutes I have to wind up, so I have made my lecture before coming itself for the 15 minutes only. I don't want to bore you much. Now, regarding the analysis of the mother tincture, see, we have the Homeopathy Pharmacopoeia of India, which is a Bible like us for following the standards, because it is a legal document, one has to follow. And there are certain parameters, there are few parameters which we won't see in the Homeopathy Pharmacopoeia that we generally opt for from the IPC, Indian Pharmacopoeia, which is our sister concern, like sterility and other type of the studies. Now, most of the tests that it is there in the Homeopathy Pharmacopoeia of India in different volumes. Like for mother tinctures, we go for the determination of the pH. The reason is that whether the mother tincture which is being used, whether the pH is like whether it is acidic or alkaline in nature, then we go for the other parameters, especially for the TLC studies, because for mother tinctures, yes, these are the normal general parameters that what we follow for ascertaining the quality. Apart from that, there are few tests like assay of the mother solutions also people used to do, like the mother tinctures that we call the mother solution, that where the people use the chemical nature of the origin of the mother tincture is from the chemical in nature, so people go for the assay study also. But largely the one which it is reflecting over the screen like pH, then the TLC studies, then the UV, that absorption maxima, these are the parameters, these are the practicals that we study for ascertaining the quality. Now, for the dilution and the potencies, which is one of the difficult area even for a government analyst like me for ascertaining the quality, the available the parameters or the standards what we follow is the determination of the alcoholic content. One thing I honestly admit that in potencies we see the carrier quality. It is true that even now there is no one in the world so far. Of course, there are certain research outcome, like yesterday we heard from one speaker from IIT, but it is not actually, truly speaking, transformed to the industry. Let me tell you very clearly. So here the parameters what we have what I have mentioned here, it is being used by the industry even for the government labs also. The determination of the alcohol content and the test for methanol, because methanol should be absent in any of the mother tincture. Then the test for ketone, again it is a quality test for the carrier, and the test for the aldehydes and the test for the fusel oil. Now, for the formulation, then again, like in Ayurveda and other systems of the medicine, we have the Ayurvedic formularies. But where in homeopathy, it is yet to come. I think now the member secretary and the Ministry of Ayush, they are working hardly. Maybe in future, in coming days, we will also have our, pharmacopoeia on formulations. Now, for formulations, when everybody know that it is a combination, so again, what we do here is the determination of the pH, then again the test for the alcohol content and the TLC identification of the drug. Again, for the TLC identification of the drug, like any other herbal medicine, here also we find some difficulty in ascertaining the quality to the TLC, but sometimes it works out. Now, apart from that, there are certain other parameters like density, total solids, and the microbial assays people used to perform. Now, another form of the homeopathic medicine, that is for the analysis of the biochemic or the tablets. Now, these tablets are being made, the lactose is the one of the component, not the active ingredient, the carrier. So, determination of the ash value, then the identification of drug up to 3x we do study, because beyond the 3x it is difficult. Then determination of the disintegration time in the tablet, because even for the IP also they do these things. And then apart from that, the talk and chalk test also they do it. Then apart from that, the friability test, then the hardness test, and the weight variation, these things the people used to carry out. Now, regarding the globules, now another like potencies, the globules also. Here, this is not the exact medicine. When we conducted a meeting on the April 19th, this issue was actually raised by the few companies. One of the issue is that test of solubility. One thing I want to tell, that as Mr. Hedrick, what he mentioned, there is a variation even when the mother tincture mentioned by the German homeopathy pharmacopoeia and the mother tincture mentioned by the French pharmacopoeia. Here also we have the solubility in HPA, the solubility time, and the HPUS, the solubility time, there is a great variation. However, it was clarified to the industry people that whatever is mentioned in the pharmacopoeia, the land of the law should be, to be followed. Now, there is no dilution in that. However, this is not only the criteria for testing of the means like ascertaining the quality. So there are the other parameters. So what we are doing here is that even if suppose if that is the only criteria is becoming a hiccup, then we are actually keeping a note to the drug controllers who are actually the licensing authority, stating that there is a variation, but however the other based on the other parameters the drug is the qualified for the standards. So just because of one criteria, the drug should not be failed. This is our motto. At the meantime, we are following the whatever is mentioned in the HPA. At the meantime, we are actually informing the drug licensing authority. This is the variation, but the decision can be taken accordingly. So far, we don't find any difficulty with the drug licensing authority. They also well accepted the data what we actually gives to them. Now, regarding the eye drops, of course, one of the important thing for the eye drops, since it is being an eye drop, that the sterility tests are very important. In recent times, this sterility test took a front row for the testing of the eye drops. We have certain facilities, and then the IPC is having the Indian Pharmaceutical Commission. They have the good facilities. So sometimes we send the sample there for the, and along with my scientists, they go there and complete all the sterility tests involved here, and then the TLC identification and the determination of the alcohol content, and of course pH is very one of the important parameters for checking of the analysis of the eye drops. Now ointments, again it is for the test of the homogeneity, and then the test for the clarity, test for the base, because there are various bases in the ointments people use. So again here also it is one of the area where it's needed to be focused. In maybe in coming days we can come up with the some of the test, because I was talking with the scientist from the CMAP that he gave some model not only for this ointment base as well as the mother tinctures. What he was saying is that you prepare with all the standards, we will see that the active ingredient can be identified. So I said that it's excellent, because this is what we are actually looking for. Now, next one is the hair oil, because there are few manufacturers who are actually making the hair oil, and there are some popular hair oils also there that you may be knowing well. So in Homeopathy Pharmacopoeia of India, it is the tests are not mentioned exactly for the hair oil, but the oils they have given, like a determination of the acid value, then the saponification value, then the iodine value, then the TLC identification. So we carry out these tests here. So these are the some of the tests that what we follow. As yesterday DG CCRH has rightly mentioned, and which is actually quoted in the World Health Organization safety standards of homeopathy medicine, the determination of the authentic means like the issues decisive for the quality of the homeopathy preparations based on two factors. One is determination of the authenticity and the origin of the starting material according to the homeopathy traditions. That is very important. And second is the defining of the manufacturing procedures. One more thing I would like to add, the quality of the homeopathy medicine depending upon the honesty of the manufacturers. So, because one thing I want to say that let the people to speak whatever they want, because we need not to answer to everybody, but we should concern about the quality. What is more important is that because of its not only the popularity, it is having the really it is working. That's why the system is grown like anything, and even in 80 countries it is homeopathy is known. So next to the allopathy, this is the top system of medicine where we can see worldwide. So now if the system has any of the fallout, definitely for any system there are certain gray areas, and in any system, even if you see in allopathy also there are so many side effects and the things which we know. But based on one parameter, based on the few issues, one should not criticize the entire system. This is, as a government analyst, what I feel. Now, the honesty of the manufacturers now is good in India. That's why we have grown like anything. And if you see the graph, it is increased like enormously, especially some of the companies, their growth has enormously increased, and then they are nowadays even exporting to various countries. So this is an encouraging phenomena. One thing little time back what Mr. Hedrick told, so this is something not exactly related to my speech, but some few slides I attached. The reason being, For the determination of the plant-based raw material, that is the starting material, because it is not covering the chemicals and other things, we have developed a few procedures here for the raw material. Just this much only I would like to say. Because there are various species. This is one example. Like there are many plants we developed the standards. Of course, I was in Ayush only. Last year only I took over the charge as a director of HPL. My entire career is actually associated with the drug standardization. I started my career from IIIM Jammu, and from there I moved to CCRAS. So the entire span of my career is actually involved in the drug standardization, especially in the Indian systems of the medicine. So what we developed there is that with a simple powder analysis, because Professor Handa, who was the director that time, he always used to say that to his supporting staff one thing: if we make some sort of the test parameters, that should be accessible to even the small industry, because don't expect too much big thing, but at the meantime quality should be very important. So what we developed there is that a small powder analysis, like even the material is in the dried form also we powdered. Especially here it is the Bhumi Amla, one of the well-known plant that is called Phyllanthus species. What we did is that we just applied a simple adhesive over it, peeled out, put it on the microscope and observed it. So these are the observations, and I can say honestly 100% accurately we can identify the plant material. Not only this is one example, there are more than 200 plant material based like that we worked out, like simple powder analysis, and then the simple using the adhesives we have worked out here. And some of the images just for the academic and research interest, I am just showing it here. So this is something about the topic which is given to me. I am more interested to listen from you rather than speaking. Thank you very much. I hope I have not exceeded my time.
No, in time and in not very well.